All right, so I want to read from the Book of the Dead again, and we're going to read about Osiris. Osiris, this right here is his hieroglyphic. So it's amazing that anyone could figure out what these things are. See, this is each of the gods and their symbols and what they mean or whatever. Amazing. I wonder how long it took them to figure out what each one means. So this is his depiction. He's generally depicted as with green skin, and he has a hook in his hand. I don't know the real name of it. Please forgive me. See, he has it in every one. He has that hook. And here's Horus on the far right. I have no idea who that is in the middle. I'm guessing this is Horus. I don't know. All right, so that's just what he looks like. He's depicted as green-skinned with hooks in his hand. And again, this is his hieroglyph. So this means Osiris. Somehow. That's weird. Sacredtext.com. I am going to start reading. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read some of the beginning and then his death and the birth of Horus. Homage to thee, Osiris, Lord of eternity, King of the gods, whose names are manifold, whose transformations are sublime, whose form is hidden in the temples, whose Ka is holy, the governor of Tetut, the mighty one of possessions in the shrine, the Lord of praises in the nome of Antek, president of the Chefa food in Anu, Lord who art commemorated in the town of Mati, the mysterious or hidden soul, the Lord of Koret, the sublime one in White Wall, the soul of Ra and his very body, who has thy dwelling in Henensu, the beneficent one, who art praised in art, who makest to rise up thy soul, Lord of the great house in the city of the 8 gods, who inspires. Ugh, that's a lot. Ain't done yet. I'm not going to read all of this. I am going to stop after this paragraph here, and then I'm going to read the end. I'm going to start here. Lord of eternity, governor of Abydos, Abtu Abydos, thy seat or domain reaches far into the Tachezert, and thy name is firmly established in the mouths of men. Thou art the twofold substance of the 2 lands everywhere, and the divine food of the Ka, the governor of the companies of the gods, and the beneficent or perfect spirit soul among spirit souls. The god Nu draweth his waters from thee, and thou bringest forth the north wind at eventide, and wind from thy nostrils to the satisfaction of thy heart. Thy heart flourisheth, and thou shalt bring forth the splendor of Chefud. The height of heaven and the stars thereof are obedient to thee, and thou makest to open the great gates of the sky. Thou art the Lord to whom the praises are sung in the southern heaven. Thou art he whom thanks are given in the northern heaven. The stars which never diminish are under the place of thy face, and thy seats are the stars which never rest. Offerings appear before thee by the command of Keb. The companies of the gods ascribe praise unto thee. The star gods of the Tuat smell the earth before thee. And I'm going to stop there because it goes on and on and on and on and on. This is crazy. This is a whole lot of praise. This is a high praise and worship for a civilization that was supposedly only spiritual and not religious. I mean, I showed this to someone one time and they thought it was the Bible. And they were like, hey, I don't believe the Bible. I'm like, this ain't the Bible. This is the Book of the Dead that you were talking about. I just wanted y'all to see. Now, I'm going to get to the end part, which is his death and the birth of Horus. But I just want y'all to see what the Egyptians wrote about their gods. You will find the same language about Horus that you'll find about Osiris, which you'll find about Ra, because all three of them at different times were the sun god, and they're all thought to be physical representation of the Almighty God. So as a result, they'll all be the same. They'll all receive the same kind of praise. But you notice, look here. Thou settest thy son upon the great throne of his father Keb. See, because Keb was the father of Osiris, and Osiris was the father of Horus. Keb was the father of Osiris, and Osiris was the father of Horus. So when Osiris died, Horus took his place. He's on the throne, a.k.a. as the sun. Every man maketh offerings unto thee, and thou art the Lord who is commemorated in heaven and upon earth. So every man makes offerings unto thee. Every man worships him. And thou art the Lord who is commemorated in heaven and upon earth. He is worshipped by other heavenly beings, and he's worshipped by men. Now, how about when people say, I don't believe in a man in the sky. I don't believe in some being in the sky. And well, the ancient Egyptians did. And I just think it's funny that people who claim to embrace the teachings of the ancient Egyptians mock other religions when the ancient Egyptians thought some of the same stuff. I guess it's just a sign of people not reading what they claim they support. All right, I want to get to the end of it, which is his death. There's a lot here. I mean, I'm not going to go through all this. It's really just like a lot of praise and worship. But so I'm just going to go right to his death and the birth of Horus. All right, down here is where it starts talking about his death. But I want to read this last little section here as well. Thou rollest up into the horizon. Thou settest the light above the darkness. Thou illuminest the two lands, probably Upper and Lower Egypt, with the light from thy plumes. Thou floodest the two lands like the disk at the beginning of the dawn. Thy white crown piercest the height of heaven, saluting the stars. Thou art the guide of every god. Thou art perfect in command and word. Thou art the favored one of the great company of the gods. Thou art the beloved of the little company of the gods. So they're saying that you are the highest God. You have the supreme worship. You're the highest God. And again, I just don't understand the criticism of beliefs that believe in one ultimate God, because the Egyptians, although they accepted other gods, they have believed in one almighty God. Thy sister Isis acted as a protectress to thee. She drove thy enemies away. She averted seasons of calamity from thee. She recited the word or formula with the magical power of her tongue. I want to stop here. I want to say this is going to show the birth of Horus. And the reason why I want to mention this part is because this is where they say the Bible stole the birth of Jesus from, that Jesus is a copy of this birth right here. So this is why I want to read this. She recited the word or formula with the magic power of her mouth, being skilled of tongue and never halting for a word, being perfect in command and word. Isis, the magician, avenged her brother. She went about seeking him untiringly. She flew round and round over this earth, uttering wailing cries of grief, and she did not alight on the ground until she had found him. She made light to and fro from her feathers. She made air to come into being by wings of her two wings. She cried out the death cries for her brother. She made to rise up the helpless members of him whose heart was at rest. She drew from him his essence, and she made therefrom an heir. She suckled the child in solitariness, and none knew where he was. No one knew where his place was, and he grew in strength. His hand is mighty or victorious within the house of Keb, and the company of gods rejoiced greatly at the coming of Horus, the son of Osiris, whose heart is firmly established, the triumphant one, the king of Isis, the flesh and bone of Osiris, the Chaka of truth, and the company of the gods, and the Nebercher himself, and the lords of truth. gather together to him and assemble therein. Verily, those who defeat iniquity rejoice in the house of Cab to bestow the divine rank and divinity among him to whom it belongeth, and the sovereignty among him who it is by right. And that is the end. But this is the death of Osiris and the birth of Horus. Now, up here, it says that she flew around looking for him. Now, I got to find the actual story. I don't know where it's at in the Book of the Dead, or in Greek mythology. I just know that the story is that Set killed Osiris. But the short version is that Set killed Osiris, chopped him up into different pieces. So that's why it says that she flew around looking for him. And it says, somewhere it says that she gathered his members. Oh, yeah. In a different one I read, it said that she gathered his members. But on this one, it says she may rise up to the helpless members of him whose heart was at rest, meaning he was dead. She drew from him his essence, and she made therefrom an heir. So she revived him. He was dead. She revived him, and she drew from him his essence. It could be by magic, because it says she used magic. Another account says that she fashioned a golden phallus, a golden penis, and put it on the body, because when she gathered the parts of the body, she was unable to find a penis. So she made a golden penis, and I'm going to show you the picture of a hieroglyph that tells that story. So this one is saying like kind of like a milder version. She withdrew his essence from him, and then she got pregnant. This is the story that they say that Jesus's birth copies from. But the thing is, this doesn't say anything about her being a virgin. In fact, it was a sexless. In this account, it was a sexless birth or conception. However, in the other account, she used the golden penis, and she got pregnant through the golden penis that she put on top of him. But she came in the form of a bird. She revived her dead brother/husband, and she got pregnant. And that's why, and she got pregnant with Horus. And that's why when you look at pictures of Horus, he is a bird man. There's a reason why he is the head of a bird. Obviously, some of these depictions are more modern. But, I mean, why does he have the head of a bird and the body of a man? It's because his mom gave birth in the form of a bird. His father was a man, or his father was a god, a male. You know, the coming of Horus, the son of Osiris. Wait, let me start it right here. The company of gods rejoiced greatly at the coming of Horus, the son of Osiris, whose heart is firmly established, the triumphant one, the son of Isis, the flesh and bone of Osiris. So people call this the virgin birth. They say this is a virgin birth. It's not a virgin birth. He's the flesh and bone of Osiris. She conceived him with Osiris, who was, I don't know. I don't see the connection there. I'm going to show you the hieroglyph of this birth. So here is one hieroglyph of it. As you can, if you look closely, you can see the bird hovering over the body. And here is a different depiction. This is the depiction of the other story, or the other account, where she couldn't find his penis, so she fashioned a golden penis and got pregnant that way. So this is the birth of Horus. I should mention, though, because this is significant among the conscious community, that this statue here, this is Isis breastfeeding Horus. And this image here has been used by the Catholic Church in connection with Mary and Jesus. If I can find it, I just saw it. All right, here it is. So this is a meme somebody threw together. You have on the left, you have the original. You have Horus nursing on his mom Isis. And in the middle, you have, I guess this is the original depiction of Mary, they're trying to say, of Mary and Jesus. And then on the far right, you have the traditional Roman Catholic. They usually have one where they're all breastfeeding, and Mary is breastfeeding just like this one. So that is something that worth noting that the Catholic Church did. They did steal this picture and ascribe it to Jesus. However, the Bible and the story of Jesus was written hundreds of years before the Roman Catholics even existed. So that doesn't disqualify the birth of Jesus. But this is imagery. You can see that they stole the imagery from ancient Egypt and applied it along with the whole sun disk thing. You see the sun disk around them. The Catholic Church actually, they stole that. And if you go and look at some of their symbols, they stole quite a lot of stuff from ancient Africa. So they stole a lot of the artwork, but again, that doesn't disqualify the Bible. It disqualified them because the Bible was in existence hundreds of years before they got this idea and started doing this kind of nonsense. And that is the end of my reading of the Book of the Dead and showing some passages or whatever. This thing right here in regards to Horus, I have not seen any of this in his. I guess that's different. I guess that's a story about Horus and not Osiris. But you see the birth of Horus, and you can decide for yourself whether or not that was a virgin birth for you. And the rest of this stuff, I don't know. I'm yet to read any of this other stuff in the Egyptian writings about Horus. It's just something that people say that sounds good. So again, I'm on sacredtext.com. If you want to read about Osiris and the death of Osiris and the birth of Horus, you'll go to right here, A Hymn to Osiris and the Legend of the Origin of Horus in the Book of the Dead.